There's basically two ways that you can engage with a piece of media: experientially and contemplatively. Experientially basically means what it feels like to have the experience. When you are literally consuming the piece of art, what does it make you feel? A great example of a piece of art that is focused on the experience of consuming it would be this new-ish Aphex Twin video. When I was watching this, all I could think about was how impressive it was that it looked and sounded the way that it did. It uses visual techniques I've never seen before in a really interesting and fun and engaging way. It's obvious that a lot of work was put into it. When you listen to the music, you feel like you're hearing a lot of distinct sonic textures that you wouldn't just get in your garden variety electronic music. And it's going through all these different phases. There's a lot of really intense and specific work going on. You feel this sense of respect for Aphex Twin as this, industry veteran of the genre. And overall, it's just extremely impressive to behold. But there's nothing really to think about other than how technical it is. Other than to think, wow, he put the notes there, or wow, I can't believe this song changes 6 times and still has a natural flow to it. There's not necessarily a specific emotional slant to the song. It doesn't really tell a story. It doesn't really seek anything but to be satisfying in a technical capacity, and the video does the exact same. But it does so through such unique means as to be exciting, even to somebody who, has already seen tons of really technical shit. To see something so technical in such a weird way is exciting in itself. But it's all the experience. It's all just watching it. And you can watch it over and over and over again. And it'll always be exciting because no one else is ever going to make something that looks and sounds exactly like it. So it's one of those special types of music videos you can always return to. And I don't really think that most art strives to be experientially satisfying because it takes a lot more technical ability to craft something that is actually satisfying. People are not going to be impressed by the way something looks or feels unless you are really good at, using that medium to create those sensations. But if you give people something to think about, then it's a completely different story. The experience of the media might not even matter all that much. Obviously, my vlogs are a great example of contemplative media. Most of these are not extremely satisfying to listen to because my word choice isn't always perfect. I ramble a whole lot. I stumble over my words. There's no music. It's just a guy in his room going back and forth. The lighting is really bad. I am not the prettiest thing you could be looking at. You probably throw me into another tab. It's not really about the experience, even though a lot of people do like my voice. A lot of people like the general aesthetic of my videos because of the fact that they inform the message, because of the fact that there is a relationship between the visual component and what you're hearing. It's part of the contemplative experience, but most of what you get out of a Digibro video is from what it makes you think about, the comparisons that you start drawing in your own mind to other things that you could apply these concepts to. What do you think is an experiential piece of art? Or what do you think is something that is more contemplative? What do the differences in these experiences mean to you as a critic? Because obviously the best shit has got to be the shit that maximizes both, right? So it starts to bring you to this question of where we can all say that there's this concept of all flash and no substance that we all agree makes sense on some level. And it's not really a matter of whether substance is good or bad to have. It's just a matter of that there is art that's purpose is to be technically great, and that can be impressive in itself. And there's work that is intended to be especially contemplative without really needing to be the other thing. But when you get them both in equal measure, that is the big come. And the reason that people gravitate towards media that has as many different layers of what can be done with it as possible is that it's the easiest to achieve this big come through that lens. Because it's really difficult to write a book that is experientially engaging. Someone would point to something like Lolita, or I don't even know another book that's known for like its verbiage specifically, but like that one is known for like the way that things are phrased just sounds good, you know? So it's fun to read for that reason. But like, or House of Leaves is a extremely experiential book, which is also really contemplative. That one, I would say, comes the closest. I think the reason it's my favorite book is because it tries to match the reading experience up to the level of what it is contemplating, which is extremely metatextual and, you know, sort of in a way is about the medium itself. So yeah, it pretty much takes things as far as it can in trying to nail these two things in a fucking book, you know? But it's a lot easier to have a delightful experiential experience when you've got, say, animation going on, and you've got someone who's really mastered the craft and can just make something like Yutaka Nakamura. I don't really think about why his animation is good. I just like to look at it. And this is kind of the reason that I think a lot of people struggle to talk about animators and these more aesthetic parts of the experience, is because you can break down on a technical level how it was done, and that can be impressive in itself. But it's a whole different type of appeal from the contemplative appeal. And, you know, you really have to think about how you can communicate, like, bridge that gap in communication where, like, to me, you know, explaining exactly how somebody animated something just seems kind of dry, because it doesn't add to the depth of my appreciation for the animation. I already thought it looked amazing. I didn't need to be convinced. The sad thing about making YouTube videos is that it can be very difficult to pump up the experiential element and the contemplative element to the maximum at the same time, because you really are crafting two different pieces of art in that case. You're both crafting a great story and a great visual presentation. And I think that that's something that me and Devu have accomplished several times in some of our videos, in our best ones. But like, I wouldn't say that that's something I can always deliver on, because a lot of my scripts are written either because of the necessity to talk about a certain thing more so than out of that thing being the best thing to possibly write about. And like, you know, just the approach of not really considering what it's going to look like as a video. And then, you know, sending it off to somebody else who just has to kind of interpret it however they see fit, you know. And sometimes that could be something that blows you away if, like, what they interpret is really interesting, you know. But you have to leave them open for that. Point being, I am not delivering on every aspect at the absolute maximum capacity that I could be in every video that I make. And I tried to do that earlier this year and quickly realized that the turnaround time on videos like that makes them very hard to do consistently on YouTube unless every single one is going to get a fuckload of views. And some people are able to accomplish that, but you really have to, like, be able to hit the ground running, where it's like, I've got a couple, like, if you have two videos that get 1 million views in a row, you're probably on a good trajectory to just keep making videos exactly like that, you know? Anyways, I didn't want to make this into a YouTube shop talk rant. I just wanted to say experiential and contemplative. Consider what matters more to you it's really funny to think that the argument "turn your brain off" kind of is an argument in favor of the idea of experiential art. It's people trying to tell you that, not all art needs to be something that you're going to think about afterwards. Some of it you're just meant to gawk at and, be impressed with what's happening. But the difficulty that the other people who are more critical of works like that will have is that they say, well, okay, just because I'm not contemplating the narrative doesn't mean that I will not think about the technical element, in being impressed with this. Like, if it looks like shit and I've seen stuff that looks good, I know the difference. So I'm not going to be impressed by something that doesn't look great. And moreover, there are works that are both experientially and contemplatively great. You can go watch even some of the superhero movies. It's not even difficult to find movies that succeed at being both interesting and fun to watch. So, not being able to hit that watermark is something that, deserves to be spoken about, I suppose. I guess, if you want to be self-important about it. That's it.